New details change everything for the San Diego Padres pitching staff and their road to recovery. We got to talk about the injury situation surrounding two superstars on the Padres rotation. What's going on, everybody? I'm Christian Pedersen, back with another episode of Padres Digest. Thank you very much for tuning into the show where I, just a random dude on the internet, opine, whine, underreact, and talk about the San Diego Padres. If you could hit the subscribe button, it would be the stereotypical YouTube thing for me to ask you to do. It'd be great. Let's talk about some baseball. All right. Let's make our way through this. Let's emotionally process this as a community and help. Maybe some of you guys can talk me down on this, but I think here's the official report. We're going to talk about Michael King and Darvish mainly, with maybe some sprinkled in of some relievers. But these two guys are the main things where the reporting around them keeps changing, and it changes kind of everything for the San Diego Padres. Officially, no structural damage, pinched nerve in the shoulder for Michael King, the King man himself. Show you where Michael King is at for those of you that are maybe just 30,000-foot viewers of the San Diego Padres and don't dive too specifically into the stats. He is our number one pitcher in both stats and I think in confidence levels, if you will, in the rotation so far this year. This is what we are getting out of him. He has been on the IL for half of his 15 days as of us recording this video, so it is a good time anyway to check in, but we are also checking in on top of that because there is some new reporting coming out from around the Padres organization, and that's a lot of text I'm realizing now, so what do you say we take that to full screen here? So this is what frustrates me with the Padres so far in the injuries this season. Is not that they're happening. That's a normal baseball thing. I get it. It's just part of sports, not even a baseball-specific thing. The frustrating thing to me is that with Darvish and with King specifically, but with kind of all the guys, it's a very much, like he said, some guys take a couple days, some guys take a couple months. I think that I'm the former, because the progress that I've had, according to King. But that's not anything that you can really fundamentally build a consistency of a rotation around. That's also not something that, to me, you can plan accordingly to fix the other issues on the San Diego Padres. If Michael King is gone for 22 days instead of 15, that's really only just one extra start. Not the end of the world. The Padres, largely the offense is going to continue to hum. They can find some stopgap measures on the mound. Like we can put up with one more Kyle Hart or somebody else start. If it's going to be All-Star break or after All-Star break into stretch run before we get King back, and therefore like stretch run into possible playoffs before he's like worked back into the real full swing of things, that's a fundamental, like, you might need to, if you're the Padres, start talking about ways to augment and, if anything, replace these stats with another pitcher, because you're not having this guy for like 5, 10, 15, like an extended period of time. So to say that you're optimistic about it being the shorter rather than the latter is great from a player standpoint, but if the player's not saying that, maybe there's another issue there of like he's just not a dog that wants to be back. So I am getting worried. I am not saying that he is out for the season and that he is like, I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy pessimist on that front. I'm trying to say that right now, this, to me, the fact that we have just a little bit of a gray zone causes that trickle down of the Padres. Like, if we pull the trigger big on the left fielder, and we've got some other videos on the rest of our timeline that you can go check out about a whole variety of trade options that the Padres are interested at in left field, maybe even potentially at the catcher DH kind of spot to fix some offensive woes. If the Padres spend, though, big bullets international money, like if to get Jarren Duran or to get a player that's going to actually not just be like like whatever, we threw a body out there, but to get an actual improvement, the Padres might have to spend the amount of pieces that they have goes to there, and then they don't have anything really to go get pitching. Maybe they don't need to get pitching. Maybe they're coming back. But to me, this would be the thing where, like, if the manager was saying, oh, we're aiming for King to be back out against LA or Seattle or San Francisco, like, so, like, give me a window to start gauging this by, oh, we missed the window or not. Don't just give me, could be a couple months. We're going to make sure he's healthy. We're going to make sure he's right. Of course you want to make sure he's healthy. Of course you want to make sure he's right. And I know that Michael King's arm is not Yu Darvish's arm, but this then brings me into just the second of the injury updates to talk about, and that is Yu Darvish. He has technically thrown again for the first time now since his minor league outing now 2.5 weeks ago, where he initially looked good, felt good, but then woke up the next day ostensibly with just like discomfort that has sort of been attributed to he doesn't feel like he can rinse and repeat and keep doing multiple, like he in the individual one start feels good, but doesn't feel like he can sustain multiple starts. So he's back to so that bullpen session that you're seeing in this article here came out before the Tuesday bullpen session of the 6 or 7 pitches, and it went well. We are now in the wait and see to see if there's going to come out and be like some fallout there. But Darvish is another one where we were optimistic, and then it got pushed into this nether realm. And those might be non sequiturs, but at some point you can't just keep counting on, oh, he's coming back, he's coming back, he's coming back. Eventually, eventually the gang's getting back together. Because if your hypothetical view of the Padres making the playoffs and making a deep playoff run involves, we'll get Darvish back, and maybe for the last 2 or 3 starts of the season, then he'll be like dialed in to be our 4 guy for the playoffs. Oh, King will be there. We're going to let him rest up for a couple months. Either our offense is just producing absolute nukes all the time, in which case we don't need to worry about these pitchers. We can apparently roll through a regular season with Randy Vasquez and Hinkle McCringlebottom out there throwing at the 5, like, who cares? Or we don't make the playoffs because we kept pushing back. Oh, like our pitching's going to get there. We'll save some bullets in case we need something, like, and then make a half measure deal at left and a half. And we end up maybe in that wild card spot and losing, or we ended up maybe tragically like not making the playoffs because the Giants and the Dodgers are both having great seasons, and the Phillies and the Mets are both having great seasons, and we just didn't make that last wild card spot or something like that. So that's why I'm saying that a lack of definition from Michael King is an issue. We need these numbers to be maintained. Obviously 4-2 doesn't need to be maintained. We don't need someone to stay at 4-2, but we need this kind of a ratio of wins to losses, ERA, strikeout. Like, we need a dude, somebody. If it's going to be Cease, great. Cease, and then the trickle down of give me Cease, Pivetta for #Pivetta for All-Star SD. Give me those two, Kolek, and like maybe that is still good enough if we go and make a trade. Or looking at that, maybe it becomes, okay, let's get optimistic about we'll get King back later in the season. Now let's go package Sandy Alcantara and Kyle Stowers in exchange for a bounty from the Marlins or something like that, like a deal that like we can start to identify, hey, we need to get some pitch. I don't know, just that's kind of where my mind is at with this. But the concrete reporting is that the narrative is becoming a little bit gray. And to say that concrete into gray, like, maybe doesn't make sense. Maybe makes better sense in my head than it is sounding, but the report is that I don't think that Michael King is going to be making his, like, 8 days from now when his 15-day IL stint is up, I don't think he's going to be making his Padres return. Whether or not that's another stint on there or to the 30, or if it's 4 months from now, I have no further insight to provide you. I don't want to be WebMD guy, but I will say that that's where we are at. Let me know, though, what you think about all of the pitching situations and maybe who you think might be some pitching solutions. Or, again, as always, if you just think that I'm crazy overreacting, drop that in the comment section as well. Take care, Padres fans. We'll talk to you guys soon.